Everybody wanna talk about the old school, reminiscing like a good plate of soul food. Kangos, gazelles, and truck gold too. Shell toes well known round the globe, fool. Ain't nobody gon' forget about the old school, not as long as I be reppin' with my whole crew. Zulu Nation, we created what you all knew. As hip hop, we can't stop, we so cool. Hip hop is more important than you know. It's my goal to make you see it, cause you gotta grow. Design the flow to reconnect.
Creator of the needle drop and creator of the scratch. And I am so happy to be here with you guys today. All right? Hip hop might have started in New York City, but everybody has a story to tell about hip hop, no matter where you from. Even the pioneers here in Delaware have a story to tell, and they definitely matter. That's why we are here today. Round of applause for that, y'all. So, without any further ado, I'm gonna say happy 50th anniversary to hip hop. And let me say this, we celebrate hip hop every single day.
This is what you waited all year for, the hardcore, that's what KRS is here for. Big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. If you big up Grand Wizzard Theodore, get ill. 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 Big up Grand Wizzard Theodore,
Let me introduce me and my friends up here today. I go by the name B-Boy Breeze. Can I get a what up, Breeze? What up, Breeze? What up, what's going on? On stage with me today, three very talented artists from the city of brotherly love, Philadelphia, PA. Yes, we came all the way up. To my right, we have my friend, he goes by the name of Mach 5. Say, what up, Mach? What up, Mach? Next to me also is one of my closest friends, longtime friend. He goes by the name of B-Boy Box. Say, what up, Box? What up, Box? And last but not least, we have one of our mentors growing up in the city. He goes by the name of B-Boy Meadow. Say, what up, Meadow? What up, Meadow? Howdy. Circus acrobat extraordinaire.
A decade ago, I had the honor of meeting DJ Kool Herc. For those who don't know, Herc is still live. He's still DJ. Works in Bronx, creating positive social change through hip-hop. And as far as I understood it, a lot of the meaning behind the term hip-hop goes back to the dance. Because Herc and other DJs, back at the first party, which was his sister's birthday party, August 11th, 1973, they would see people jumping around. They had ski hats with the pom-poms on and all that. And they're like, yo, the hip-hoppers in the back, the people bouncing around. So a lot of hip-hop culture stems to the dance. It's not just the music, it's not just the lyrics, it's everything put together and you move to it. So we want to take you through a little bit of the minutia, the details of the dance, which, by the way, starting next year in Paris, breaking is going to become an Olympic sport. Yeah! There's mixed feelings about that there, and try and break is because of watching Raph and people like Raph. He always likes to be in the background, so shout out to Raph. And when y'all find him, you will know he is a legend, he is a master. So Top Rock absolutely looks like it. He's got the whole beard situation. Top Rock is how you introduce yourself to the floor, right? Because you can imagine being at that first party, you know, everybody's dancing, everybody's chilling, and you want to make space to go onto the floor. In fact, as a young 10, 11, 12-year-old in the Bronx, what you're about to do by rolling around the floor, you're about to interrupt the older kids' party. So how are you going to do that? Well, you have to look good and you have to create space at the same time. So they invented something that was really big, that took up a lot of space, and that was also three-dimensional to create the shape that we have right here, which is known as the cycling circle. That's a really important shape, not just in hip-hop, but in like all of dance history stemming all the way back to Africa, right? So let's look at some basic Top Rock steps. One of the first steps that ever was invented was something called the cross step. And obviously this is called the cross step because you're crossing the leg in front. As you can see, your arms are swinging out really wide. This helps you create space. It's also very aggressive because this is a battle dance. Let's transition this to the back step. Now this back step, obviously, one step is going back, but you also have this hip twist motion, which a lot of scholars might think comes from when the Latin American influence got involved in hip hop, right? You got the Puerto Ricans, the Dominicans, who were living in New York. They took it and made it their own. Now let's transition this into something called the kick cross. The kick cross is also sometimes known as the Indian step. And you can trace a lot of this lineage back to Native American grass dancing, which has a very similar step. You'll make some noise for hip hop fundamentals, showing off a little bit of top rock. And we build from there. So top rock is what we do before we hit the floor. I'll be very impressed. Does anybody know the common term for what is called when we're like running around on the floor? What's that called in breaking? Six step is one of the foundational moves that we do. And it's part of a category that we call footwork. Everybody say footwork. Footwork. We got top rock and footwork. Now, of course, when you travel around to different states, to different countries even, they have varying like nomenclature for a lot of these things. But where we were growing up, this was called footwork. So footwork, just like was said, the sixth step is one of the most pivotal, one of the early steps that we can look at it forward. Matter of fact, let's see some six steps real quick. We got B-Boy Breeze, who's going to do 6 steps, which take him in a circular pattern. It's symmetrical, it's very efficient, and it's almost impossible for me to imagine a 12-year-old inventing this, but yeah, the young kids did invent this. Now let's transition this into something called a 3-step. So we're gonna chop that 6th step in half, and it's gonna take 3 steps to go a quarter rotation. That's a 3-step, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Again, these foundational steps are something we all learn, and then you flip it, you remix it, you make it your own. Now let's go to a crew called the Crazy Commanders from New York City, and they invented this move called the CCs. And this was something that they became known for so well. People were like, yo, do the Crazy Commanders move, do the CC move. And the CCs, you can again, yo, shout out to Box One, rocking like 1 million CCs, first of all. Props to Box. You can see that there's a hip twist that relates almost to salsa, bachata, dances like mambo that were happening in New York that were coming across the same time as hip hop. A lot of that stuff can just get translated to the floor. So, top rock and footwork are the first 2 parts of breaking that we would like to explore. We've been doing a lot of talking. Delaware, I have a question for you. Would you like to see some more dancing? Yeah. I don't know if I believe that. I feel like more, fam. This type of music is very traditional. This is a drum break. Bump it up, turn it up, DJ. Give it to me. Hey. Drops, footwork. Fundamentals, baby. Dynamics. Take the roll, Mark 5, take them home. Let's go. Make some noise, y'all. Make some noise, y'all. Because it looks just like a baby. Yes. Thank you for agreeing. Let's modify this into a chair freeze. Boom. The chair freeze is a classic freeze, and let's take this into an elbow freeze. He's doing this like this is easy. Yes, clap for box one.
Hey, it's really humbling. This guy on the end said that he was in my studio. He was a little kid, and I didn't even know him. But I gave him a chance. I gave him a chance. So that means that your life matters. That means that if you do something, there's some people watching you. And it might change them. It might make them go do some great things. This man is working with Jay-Z. They got gold albums. Project X was a Delaware thing, but now it's a world thing. Come on. Yes, give it up. Yes.
MC on the mic ever, Sha Rock. And before we get started, listen, I represent the true essence of hip-hop culture. I represent the graph artist, the B-girl, the B-boy, the MC, the break dancer. Nobody out there, if you're teaching hip-hop culture, you cannot say that you represent the hip-hop culture if you're not celebrating those elements. It is not just the rap element of hip-hop culture or the MC element of hip-hop culture. Hip-hop represents so many different elements, and I want to say that. And before we get started, I came out here saying somebody say ho. When we talk about the history of where somebody say ho came from, that came from two girls, two twin sisters, Little Debbie and Terry. They were in Grandmaster Flash's 3MC party when they were the 3 MCs, and when they became the Grandmaster Flash and the Furious 4, and when they became the Furious 5. These were two little girls that were teenagers that was in the party running around saying, ho, somebody say ho, and everybody looking at them like they crazy because they didn't know what they were saying, right? And they are the ones who created somebody say ho. So then Keith Cowboy, who was Grandmaster Flash's first MC, took it to another level. He started saying somebody say ho, right? So we all started saying it. So when you hear it now, when you hear it at the venues, and you hear it at clubs, and you hear it at the crowds, and you hear somebody say ho, you must show respect to Little Debbie and Terry, who created the term somebody say ho. And let me go back to hip hop. Let me take you back to hip hop. Because right here, y'all got a walking encyclopedia. Sha Rock was on the front line. You know, I didn't just come into the game as a rap artist with rap music. I was on the front line, helping to push this billion-dollar culture forward in the Bronx, New York. So we talking hip-hop, right? So Grandmaster Flash's first MC, Keith Cowboy, he had a friend that was going into the military. So he asked his friend, okay, so you going to the military, you going to do that, you know, hip hop. And so what happened was, Cowboy coined the term hip hop. We all started saying it after Cowboy did it. We put hip hop in our rhymes. Cowboy was the first to put hip hop in his rhymes. But it was Lovebuck Starsky, who was the crossover between hip hop and disco that sort of kind of made the term hip hop popular. And then you had African Bambaataa, around about the end of 80, the beginning of 81, who, although we were celebrating all the elements of the culture, it wasn't called hip hop till around about 81. And so he took the term hip hop, put all of the elements together, and took it global. And that's how today we celebrate hip hop culture. Yeah. Let's go. First, we were never called rappers. We were never called rappers. I'm the first female MC in the history of hip hop culture to be called an MC. Now, I'm not just gonna feed y'all the lies. I got the proof. I got the flyers. Sha Rock is on over 500 authentic hip-hop flyers in the history of hip-hop culture. The first female MC to be called an MC. Also, we didn't call ourselves rappers, right? But I'm going to take on the MC and rapper, because I want y'all to know there was nobody else before me. MC, rapper, I'll take it on. The only time we was called rappers, right, was really like in 1979 when you had like the older adults, like that had record companies. You had Sylvia Robinson, who had Sugar Hill Records. She had the first rap record. And then you had Bobby Robinson, which was the second most prominent, enjoyed records, who had all the top-notch MCs from New York City that was on the streets of New York City, that were rhyming, that were battling, and all that stuff. It wasn't until then that they were calling us rappers, because they were older people. So they was like, what you doing? You out there doing that, you rapping, you out there doing rapping. But we was never called rappers in the beginning, we were always MCs. But the rapper turn came in 1979 when the slew of hip-hop records landed in front of you. That is the crucial year of the MCs within hip-hop culture. Because I was part of the era who created the rhyming style. I was a part of the era that the back and forth, the harmonize, and everything that you hear an MC doing today, I have created that style of rhyming. 1978 is the crucial year of the MC, because that was the onset of where you had your back and forth, your rhyme, your cadence, whenever your group member would say a rhyme, and he'll wait till you finish, and then you bring him in with a chant, or you bring him in, just to let him know at the time it's time for you to move on. So I was a part of the era that helped create that type of style of rhyming, the style of rhyming that you hear today, the cadence, the back and forth. I helped create that. And so when you talk about, MCs, because I want to take you back, because I want people to understand that a lot of people, when they hear Sha Rock, they think about Sha Rock from the Funky 4+1. Yes, but I was a part of the original Funky 4, who used to battle Grandmaster Flash in the Furious 3, Grandmaster Flash in the Furious 4, and the Furious 5. We were the first to introduce MC rap battles to the culture. And I'm not telling y'all this. I have cassette tapes, I have flyers, because when you talk shit like that, you gotta make sure that you can be able to back it up. You understand what I'm saying? And I can back it up. I can back it up. I helped create the first MC rap battles in the history of hip-hop culture. And so, 79, yes, I was the first authentic female MC, in the game to have a record deal. So I'm not talking about I just came into the game, made a record, and that's it. Y'all know me from, the Funky 4+1, that's the joint. But I was on the ground floor, moving the culture forward, hoping to build this billion-dollar business. The first female MC, to have an all-hip-hop, all-female security crew. The first female MC to have an all-hype crew. So when y'all see Flavor Flav, with Public Enemy being a hype man, I had that before Flavor Flav. Because what they used to do was go in the crowd and get the audience, to say my rhymes. And that's how Sha Rock was so synonymous in New York City, because everybody in New York City knew my rhymes. You understand? By my hype crew and by my security crew. Now I'm gonna let her answer the question, because I could go on and on. Let's go. The Furious 5 MCs. They were the 3 MCs. It was Melly Mel, it was his brother Kid Creole, and then it was also Grandmaster Flash's first MC, Cowboy. And so because we used to battle them back in the days, my thing is that people love Melly Mel. Now my mom, she wrote my first rhyme, right? So I knew how to do the cadence. I knew how to do that. So I'm talking 8 years old, guys and ladies. I'm talking 8 years old. My mom wrote my first rhyme, right? And we was at like the center, in the projects, and so I entered, a contest, she wrote my rhyme. But when I became a teenager, I was like, okay, look, Melly Mel, he was the dopest MC, the most prolific MC, in the Bronx and in New York City at the time. So all the guys was looking up to Melly Mel, right? Because he was a natural. So I was like, well, if I could be just as good as him, I would take over New York City and the Bronx. So I battled myself to become a Melly Mel. And that's how Sha Rock became, the best female MC in New York City. And my crew, the Funky 4 used to always remind New York City that we have the best female here in New York City.
Is there anybody out here right now?
Make sure y'all get it. Every day I'm on LL Rock the Bells radio. Me and Grandmaster Caz, he here's today. That's my co-partner. We talk nothing but history. But my thing is that we never do top 5s, and I will never do top 5s. Because it is too many prolific groups and prolific MCs that you could not ever say top 10. You can never say top 5. It's too many out there worldwide. We doing rap music within hip-hop culture a disservice when you ever do a top 5. Because it's too many out there, y'all. It's too many to not give respect to. Too many. And I would never do that.
I love that answer. All right, so you mentioned your mom a lot. I noticed when I watched Ladies First, you were in that. All them sisters that are in there all mention their mothers. Do you think that is important as it relates to how this culture has come up. The fact that people respected their elders.
Yeah, I think it's very important. You know, my mom was my backbone. Okay. I'm from Wilmington, North Carolina. I was born in Wilmington, North Carolina, so I'm a Southern girl, right? But I also lived in New York for the majority of my life. And I can remember, you know, like my mom taking me back and forth to Wilmington, North Carolina, and I was trying to bring hip hop and rap music and breakdancing down there. And I'm talking like 11, 12 years old, and they looking at me like I'm crazy, like I was suffering from emotions or something like that when I used to get on the floor and start breakdancing, right? So I tried to bring hip hop down there, but you know, the South wasn't ready for it yet, right? And so, but with my mom, you know, she's always been my backbone, you know, and always used to take me to talent shows in Harlem, you know, the Apollo, you know, just always there for me. But she was still strict with me. So I still had the curfew. I still had to be in the house before the sundown. She would come out looking for me, embarrassing me in front of all my friends. You know, with the, I'm telling y'all, it may seem crazy now, but she used to come out there with the iron cord. And so if y'all don't, I know people don't do that now, but she used to do it back in the days. And I know some of y'all been going through that too, or have went through it if you're my age. But she wanted me at the same time to be able to still have her respect, still respect myself, you know, when it came to the rules and regulations of what it was. Until she realized, you know, that, you know, I wasn't getting into any trouble. I wasn't, you know, hanging around a bunch of boys, you know, I was interested in a lot of boys and stuff, but the thing is that, you know, I was focused on what it is that I wanted to do as far as being, you know, that MC. And I was talking to you last night, and it's so crazy though, because with my mom being my backbone, right now she's not able to be able to understand, and I'm getting teary-eyed, you know, with this, right? She's not being able to understand because she's suffering from dementia, right? So she don't know what I'm going through right now. She doesn't know, you know, all the accolades, and I'm sorry, y'all, but you should have asked me that question. She doesn't see that the fruits, you know, that it has taken so many years for people to start recognizing. You know, MC Sha Rock is the first female in the sea of hip hop culture, and she's not able to see it. She's not able to understand, you know, that everything that I have worked hard for so many years is like right here within this 50th anniversary hip hop culture. And I just wish that she was able to see it.
Let's give it up for MC Sha Rock.
Yeah.
I come from also, you know, the hip-hop, legendary hip-hop venue era. So they used to take, you know, our performance, whether or not we was in a park or whether or not we was in a club, and they used to sell them, you know, and carry them around in their boom boxes. So my voices were being played on the cassette tapes, and then within the store Richie T used to have, we didn't know that he was recording us, you know, in his venue, but he used to sell the tapes, you know, to people. They used to go and buy them, and then he started selling the tapes to the OJs. And I want to take you all back to the history of hip-hop culture. Like nowadays, you know, you may have the Lyft, and you may have the Ubers, right? So those are sometimes is your luxury cars if you don't get a hoopty, right? But back in the days, the OJs was the luxury cars for all the, like we in college, right? For all the, you know, the hustlers on the street. You know what I'm saying? All the dealers on the street, all the prominent people, you know, the MCs and the DJs, it was called the OJ. And so what happened was, in order for the OJ to be able to be synonymous and get as many, you know, hip hop artists as they want to ride in their cars, they used to have these tapes, and these tapes were like gold. So they would go and purchase these tapes at Richie T's record shop, and they would be able to let their drivers, like if you was riding in a car, you could listen to a Funky 4 tape. You could listen to a Funky 4 Plus tape, a Sha Rock tape, a Cold Crush Brothers tape. You could listen to, you know, a Grandmaster Flash and Furious 5 tapes, because these tapes were like gold. You understand what I'm saying? And this is how they were able to build up their clientele, by riding around in the OJ and taking hip hop all up and down the 95 corridor. The cassette tapes also travel not with the West Indies. You know, if people were going into the military, if they were going, you know, just traveling. This is one way that hip hop spread. 3 ways, or should I say 4? 3 ways that hip hop spread it throughout the community: through word of mouth, through flyers, through cassette tapes, right? and through the DJs and the MCs and all of that stuff, passing out authentic flyers, letting everybody know we're gonna be here tomorrow. So this is the history of hip hop culture. So I want y'all to be able to tell it. And if y'all need to ask me some questions, I'm here. I school y'all on whatever y'all need to know.
Before we get to...
Let me tell you what the conversation was about. It was about, hip hop not being started in the Bronx. It was about hip hop being started by Jamaicans or or different things. So don't get it twisted. We're talking about the culture, and that's one of the things when people are talking about hip hop as the culture, we're celebrating the elements of the culture. Y'all, I want y'all to understand the elements.
What are the elements, though?
Well, it's the b-boy, it's the b-girl, it's the MC, it's the graph artist, it's the DJ. It's knowledge. And of course, fashion was a part of the culture. And also, graffiti. Well, did I mention that? Or did I? I did. Was you sleeping there? But I got you though. Yeah, so when we talk about these things, don't get it twisted. All of these elements were back like in the 1900s, what I'm saying? Right. Of course you can find graffiti on the walls back then, 1800s. You can find graffiti, you can see b-boys, men dancing on stage in the 20s and the 30s and whatever. You know what I'm saying? But these are things that, was already there. But when you talk about the Bronx, there was no b-boys breakdancing, in Jamaica. Right. You understand what I'm saying? So we're talking about the elements of the culture, and don't get it twisted. America has influenced so many different people around the world. And when you talk about the sound systems, when I go back and I look at the sound systems in Jamaica, they were massive. So I will always give Jamaica those props, because I've never seen sound systems built like that in Jamaica. And you have Kool Herc, you have Disco King Mario, you have my crew, the brothers Disco, DJ Baron and DJ Breakout, who learned from Disco Mario and DJ Kool Herc, who we consider the father of hip hop, to learn how to build our sound systems better. You understand what I'm saying? So there are some influences, but we're talking about a culture. We're talking about Grandmaster Flash creating the quick mix theory, where you have disco DJs that wouldn't play the type of music that we wanted back in the days, right? So don't get it twisted, and I want y'all to understand this. The difference between the disco DJs and what the hip hop DJs played is that we played the songs, we played the good times. We rocked to, the R&B songs that was on the radio, right? That's what we did.
Y'all was even dancing.
Right, from the good times. Let's say good times, the songs that the rappers delight. Sugar Hill Gang did, right? That was a song that we were already rocking to on the streets of New York, right? But the difference is that with the Chic song, we made most of the songs that were R&B songs more popular. And how do we do that? This is what separate disco music, even though we was rocking their songs, from hip hop music. What we did was most disco DJs, they would let the song play all the way through. The difference between hip hop and disco DJs is that we created the loop. Yeah. The loop where the MC can be able to rhyme off of. Continuously without stopping. So disco DJs didn't do that. And that's where hip hop came into play, and the music was what playing, because Grandmaster Flash is one of the ones who created the grand mix theory, to be able to allow the MC or his MCs to rhyme off of it on that continuous loop, and a lot of people followed. A lot of MCs follow, so that is the difference. Because we couldn't go into a disco club and break dance, but we could go into a Kool Herc club, a Mario party, and all the parties and all the DJs that were playing the break beats and breaking their joints and break dance to their parties and to the break beats.
So a lot of us right now, we're used to seeing the MTVs, the VH1s, the BETs and stuff like that through your matriarchal eyes.
Just like I said, 1978, is really like the year of the MCs, that you had the onset of the MCs coming out, with rhyming and cadence and how you see now with the most, prolific MCs or the MCs doing. But the turning point was 1979, simply because that was when rap records within hip hop culture was released. So that was the turning point.
And you said that your group was a poster board for what was going to happen to groups going forward.
Well, I say that, and you talking in reference to, and I said that we were the poster children for being jerk, and that shit is driving me. Oh, sorry, y'all. That's true. That's true. You understand what I'm saying? Because most record companies, you talking about the first rap label, Sugar Hill Records. You're talking about Enjoy Records. We young kids, we 17, 18 years old, not knowing how to play this game, not knowing how to move within the room full of wolves. You understand what I'm saying? They didn't know. You know, all we knew was that we wanted people to hear us outside of New York City. We wanted people to understand that we had a culture. So we young kids, we said, okay, we on cassette tapes. We rhyme, we rock, but we want America to hear what's going on in the Bronx. So we took that record deal. You understand? Yeah. Not knowing what was in the record deal. Thinking that we were going to go to a whole nother level and get paid, not just the $2 or $3 that we were making, you know, in the parties and the clubs, because we was all right with that. You know, making the $2 or $3, reinvesting. I know my group, you know, the money that we made, we reinvested into our sound system. We reinvested. Yeah, and I got you. Listen, so let me tell you what I started doing, young ladies and men. Let me tell you what happened. I was a ride and die for all the women that came up after me in the Bronx, right? I used to tell their stories because I'm repping hip hop, right? But I had gotten a call from Angie Stone, which is Angie, y'all know her as, well, Angie B, she's from Sequence, but y'all know her as Angie Stone. We were best friends back in the days. Angie Stone married one of my group members, Rodney Stone. That's how she became Angie Stone. She was Angie B at that time. And what she said to me, and this was like about a year or two ago, right? She said, you know what, Sha Rock, she said, listen, and she didn't even know my history because we only met like in 80 when I signed to Sugar Hill Records, right? Because I signed to Enjoy Records in 79, but a year later I signed to Sugar Hill Records. You know, they worked something out, you know, and I signed to them with the group. But she said to me, she said, listen, Sha Rock, she said, you're carrying all the women, but nobody is carrying you. And your story is getting lost. So you need to start telling your story. So what happened was, I started going in and I started shooting down any and everybody who said that they came before Sha Rock. So I brought in Grandmaster Flash. He said, Sha Rock, listen, don't say nothing no more. You was out there with me. You don't need to fight this battle. Let me fight it for you. So he got on Sway, and he said, listen, Sha Rock was the only female MC that was out there with Africa Bambaataa, Grandmaster Flash, and also Kool Herc. And then you had the Furious Five come to my defense, and you had Grandmaster Caz, who's here today, that was out there with me, that have came to my defense that know the story. But it wasn't for their story to tell. But I'm going to take you back to the females, because I could talk about it now, because I be in everybody's face and people know now. So the females that was out there with me, that a lot of you don't know, you know, you had the Mercedes ladies who came behind Sha Rock, but they were the first authentic female and DJ MCs that modeled themselves behind Grandmaster Flash on the turntables and Wizzard Theodore. Theodore knows who I'm talking about. They all come from the same era in the Bronx, right? So that is the first authentic hip-hop female group in the history of hip-hop culture, is the Mercedes ladies. Now, a lot of people online, they say, well, what about the sequence? And I keep telling y'all, hip-hop started in the Bronx. The Mercedes Ladies was the first authentic hip-hop rap and DJ group that was a part of the Bronx. The the sequence is the first woman rap group. And I even told them to take it further. I was hanging out with them last week in Washington. I said, y'all need to let people know. You're actually the first rap group out of the South. So claim that. But when we're talking about history, lay that history down right. And speak up for yours, but never take away from anybody else. You know, so you have Missy D, you have, you know, Peppy Pooh, you have Debbie D, you have all of these, you know, female MCs that came, you know, after me, but these are people who y'all may not know. Let's talk about Queen Lisa Lee. She was the first female MC that was a part of the Zulu Nation that African Bambaataa got her for me to be able to deal with me because I was a reigning female MC in New York City. But what they didn't expect was for me and Queen Lisa Lee, the leader woman of the Zulu Nation, for us to become best friends until this day. To this day. So listen, let me tell y'all, we were the first female MC to ever have a female cipher. And there's a cassette tape to prove it. But what the men thought is that we were going to go against each other, but that didn't happen. What we did was we used our skills on the microphone to go back and forth in this cipher and let the people say, both of y'all are dope. And that's what we did. But I also got to shout out Sparky D. And I got to tell y'all a story about Sparky D. Now, one day with Sparky D, and y'all probably know her from the Roxanne Shante Wars, right? Because she went after Roxanne Shante, you know, and they used to battle each other. So what happened was, we were holding a femme fatale, you know, like a MC contest, a battle contest at the Roxy's. Now the Roxy was on 18th Street. So if you listen to Biggie talking about, you know, I used to snatch chains in the Roxy. You know, Brooklyn used to do that. They used to come to the Roxy's on 18th Street, stick up people, snatch chains, do all of that stuff, you know. That's what they did, right? But in the Roxy, you know, they had a battle contest for female MCs. Now, even though I was with the Funky Four and the Funky 4+1, I have created the Us Girls, right? And y'all may seen us in Beach Street, right? Yeah. But at the time, we won the battle. We won the battle with all of these females across the state and in Brooklyn and in New York City. But I had a young lady by the name of Peppy Pooh that wasn't in the battle. She came to me and she said, Sparky D wanted to battle me. And I said, listen, I'm the #1 female in New York City. I said, she gonna have to earn her shit. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Because I've been doing this since 77, and we're talking about 1984 when Beach Street came out, right? So I said, she's gonna have to earn her. And not only that too, is because I was dating somebody in Brooklyn, Sparky was from Brooklyn. I didn't want the animosity that I have to worry about traveling in Brooklyn and have that beef between other females.
Y'all hearing this code?
Listen, and as a woman, I didn't want us to battle each other because what Peppy Pooh wanted to do, she said, Sha Rock, you ain't gotta do nothing. I'll go after her. I'll talk about how she looked. I'll talk about the clothes she wearing. I'll talk about her hat. I said, you're not gonna do that. I said, because you're gonna battle her on your skills. You don't have to degrade her. You understand what I'm saying? Just talk about her on her skills. And let me tell y'all something. To this day, that same night, when I approached Sparky D, she never said anything about her wanting to battle me. But what she did say is like, you a dope MC, Sha Rock. I want you to come to Brooklyn. I said, let me introduce you to the Bronx. Let me bring you up to the Bronx and see how we get down into the Bronx. And to this day, Sparky D is one of my best friends because I never took the route of being disrespectful to Sparky D. It wasn't that I was scared, it's just that I wanted the women to be respected on the level in New York City.
Right. I just feel great the fact that the culture has survived 50 years, that the culture has grown over this entire time, and it's pretty much enveloped the planet. There's no bigger force on planet Earth right now than hip hop.
Did you see it going this far?
Knock it off. You know? Nobody's seen it going this far. Right? And anybody that said that they did is lying. Okay, because in the early days of hip hop, it wasn't kumbaya. Right. It wasn't, ooh, that's some great, what's that new stuff you're doing right there? No, it wasn't none of that. It was like, what's wrong with y'all? Right. Why are you scratching up my records? Why are you scuffing up your sneakers, dancing on the floor? Right. You know, that kind of thing. So it wasn't until the culture really caught on, and then everybody caught the fever, that it began to be accepted, you know, not only domestically, but around the world.
Okay. And Joe, you're credited as the person that took hip-hop's baby pictures. And that's an interesting way to put it. Yep. But a lot of people weren't chronicling the culture when you started. Talk about it from your perspective.
I gotta just give a shout out to Caz and the Cold Crush Brothers who invited me, who embraced me to take pictures, who had the foresight to have a photographer part of the crew. Again, I'm happy, you know, I'll co-sign what Caz said about the 50th and not knowing that, you know, what has become, or, you know, but I'm just happy that somebody did it. Yeah. And because I was there taking pictures of my friends. Yeah,
right.
Of
so
my
you
friends.
Were from the culture.
From the culture. I wasn't sent from downtown to uptown to take pictures of little blacks and Puerto Ricans spitting on their heads or writing on the wall. I was from within the cultures, taking pictures of my friends, and just amass a body of work that is so sought after today.
So in terms of when you started, talk about the beginnings of your passion for the culture.
Listen, I gotta be honest with you. You know, I was the high school photographer. I went to school with Tony Tone, Easy AD, okay? They invited me one day to come up to the T Connection to take pictures of this group that they were getting down with. You know, I thought it was a quick way to make $20 so I can get maybe 2 or 3 rolls of film. And it just became a family affair. And I just started traveling with them within the borough, downtown, tri-state, and it's just, I was into disco.
Yeah.
I was into disco, okay? And that night, Caz, don't lie, you were doing that?
I was hustling.
Okay. But, you know, that first night at the T Connection, seeing Caz, KG, JDL, and AD, you know, spitting rhymes, that almost, we're talking about me, so to speak. Right. And to see Tony and this Puerto Rican DJ up in, you know, the booth, playing my parents' music, but playing it differently, that's the night I was kidnapped and haven't left.
And about what year was that? Or years?
Caz, that's 78. Yeah.
Why is Mr. Spark you start, Brian?
I've covered every element in the culture of hip hop.
Yes.
I did graffiti. That was the first thing that caught my attention as a kid. The graffiti on the overhead trains, and we used to stand outside. Myself, other people used to stand underneath the train stations for hours, just watching the trains go by, looking at the new pieces. You know, the Blade had a new piece, and N had a whole car going, or Tracy. You know what I mean? So these this artwork on the train and these names became like heroes. So I tried to emulate, because I got a little pen game myself. So I tried to emulate what I saw, and I just used, you know, my own, you know, creativity to start doing it myself. I didn't write on trains. Okay, I never claimed to be a graffiti artist. I used to get up and go out, steal paint, and write. Hell no, I would have got my ass whooped. So I got me a big construction book, you know what I mean? A whole bunch of magic markers. And I did my graffiti, right?
Yeah, that's what's up.
But that was the first element that pulled me in. And then, of course, the music. The block parties. I was inspired by the block parties as a kid, going to block parties. And then in 73, there was a party that was given in my neighborhood that pretty much changed the way we all partied after that. And that was Kool Herc's party at 1520 Sedgwick Avenue. I lived in walking distance from Sedgwick Avenue. I lived right up the block. So when my block used to clear out during the week, all the teenagers, all the older kids would leave the block like, yo, where y'all going? Where everybody going? We going to Kool Herc party. We going to Kool Herc party. But see, I couldn't go to Kool Herc party. So I tried to recreate what I thought was Kool Herc party in my house. Grab all my mother records, my aunt records, everybody records I could find, had my little collection. And me and my friend Troy used to play records to each other back and forth. I had one turntable, he had one turntable. And I split the records in half. I said, here, Troy, you take those. I got these. And that's my first time DJing. I put on a record. He put on a record. I put on a record. Until the stack went all the way down. And sometimes we would switch stacks. All right, now you play these and I'll play those. So that was my introduction into the culture. The microphone came along after. Everybody who's a DJ, you need to have a microphone to make announcements. To acknowledge people in the audience, they call it crowd participation or shout outs. To let your crowd or the audience know where you were going to be performing next. Okay, we're going to be here on this day or this date at such and such venue. We want to see your face in the place. You know what I mean? And those little, just that little saying right there. We want to see your face in the place. Made people want to say, oh shit, well, when I get my party, I'm going to say something fly too. All right, and you just started embellishing. embellishing and adding on to those little lines. It became sentences, and then it became verses, and then it became bars, and then it eventually became full-out rhymes. Okay? And so that, and of course the music inspired the dance and the rap. So those elements all combined created this culture that we call hip-hop. And I've said 1,000 times again, hip-hop didn't invent anything, but hip-hop reinvented everything.
Yeah. Started in the Bronx. Let's discuss the Bronx and what it was like in the 70s when hip-hop was born. How was life in the Bronx?
Rough.
Hey, I'll tell you.
Rough.
It was rough.
But we were tight. Had family unity. My mother raised 5 kids by herself, and if there wasn't enough food that night to eat, we knew that our next door neighbor, Doña Carmen, had food for us, or vice versa. Okay? It was education, all about education. It was just making it through the day, but making the best of what you had. So the abandoned buildings became our playground. You know, there was music in the streets, in the parks. You know, there was gangs, there was drugs. But we knew, growing up, not to walk on that side of the street. You know, every cop on the corner knew our parents. Knew our parents. So there was structure, but it was rough. It was rough. And you know, I get asked that question all the time, especially when I travel, and I tell them, I turned out pretty well.
Yeah.
You know, I think we did.
Yeah. When people look at the conditions that existed in the Bronx when we were growing up, I grew up in the 60s and 70s, 70s as an adolescent. The city was bankrupt, financially, morally, and every other way. Every other rupt you could think of. That was New York City at the time. And most of our creative expressions came through music, came through the arts, and programs that encouraged that were taken away because of the financial difficulties of the city. Sports teams, bands, instruments, all that were taken away. So to quote my brother Lord Jamal, we took the only thing in the house that played music and made an instrument out of it, our turntable. Okay, so these, I mean, the conditions that existed led to hip-hop. They were the precursor for what hip-hop, because if everything was gravy and everything was glory, we wouldn't be looking for nothing to do. We wouldn't be looking for an outlet. Okay, so that those creative outlets were created by our need, all right, for self-expression through these different mediums.
We are in this celebratory moment. What are your thoughts on the current state of hip hop? And I don't mean just rap. I mean, you know, the culture itself.
Hip hop as a culture is alive and well. Okay? Hip hop as a business needs an enema. All right? Like the recording industry, the business of hip hop, that needs a total cleansing. Yeah, pretty much. But a lot of times people try to lump the culture of hip hop into just that little window of rap music. Even though it is a big window unto itself, it is only a part of the culture of hip hop. It's the most marketable element. It's the one that you can package and sell to the masses. But within the culture of hip hop, no one element is more important than the other.
That's right.
Thank you. Yeah. Amazing. Chronicling the culture, you know, we're in an Instagram era now. You know?
Everybody's a photographer.
Right.
And that's okay. And that's okay. You know, everyone sitting in the audience should be documenting everything that they do, how they do it, where they do it, their community, their family, you know, those get-togethers, documentation is so important. We can't let anybody else tell our own story, okay? And it has changed for me over the years because I was one of a handful of people taking pictures, where today's events, you know, just thousands of people, nobody has, yeah, you know, I'll be there with my, you know, $3,000 lens and this, that, and the other, and they'll have their iPhone and like, can you move now? Can I take my picture now?
Let a real photographer take a picture.
And it's just, you know, it's instant gratification.
Yeah.
Instant gratification. Who can post things first? Who can talk about it first? This, that, and the other. You know, I'll shoot an event like Rock the Bells that Caz performed at, opened up for over the summer. I'll go home, I'll take my time. I'll take my time going through each photograph, getting what I want, and send them to LL or whoever, and they appreciate that. It's not for me, you know, I need to shoot the way I've always been shooting.
What would you guys say is your career high point? When did you feel euphoric about something that you did?
My biggest highs as far as hip hop is concerned, and one of my first was when we were filming the movie Wild Style. Wild Style was like the stamp of approval. Not that we needed it, but it was that validation that someone else from outside of this thinks this shit is cool. Okay, they think enough of it that they want to document it, and that was I think that was the first milestone. Okay, for me and for the culture of hip hop to have it documented in that way.
Oh, and by the way, I'm in the movie Wild Styles too.
Yep.
It may be for a hot 3 seconds, but if you rewatch it tonight when you play your DVD, you gotta look real close, because while Caz and the Coke Crush are doing their thing at the Dixie Club, you'll see a flash going on. And then you'll see a skinny kid with a huge afro just pop up, standing up on the bar, taking pictures. 100 times. That's me.
Yo, that shit is so short that if you pause, you
can't even.
Oh, yeah, come back again.
But my iPhone.
I was in an LL video for doing it. Like doing it.
You what?
Yeah, exactly. It was about as long as you was in that
Yo, I gotta look at the video to see if I see you.
Yeah, real.
We weren't looking for Caz in that video.
For me, was getting my first photo published in the newspaper.
Okay.
And how many people remember the movie Fort Apache the Bronx?
No.
So, I come from a huge family of activists, and to make a long story short, we protested against Paul Newman in Hollywood because the movie portrayed the people of the Bronx as
Animals. Yeah. Exactly.
Animals, drug addicts, you name it.
Which we were.
We didn't need it on the big screen.
They had to portray it. Yeah.
So in one of the demonstrations, I had walked onto the film set while they were filming in the Bronx, and took some pictures of Paul Newman and was chased off the film set. And the New York Post published it. And to me, seeing my name photo by Joey, you know, at that time Joey Kane, you know, which was, that to me was like, wow, my photography, you know, that's what I wanted to do, so.
Your role in hip hop's first hit song, Rapper's Delight.
Uh-oh.
We talk about this?
Uh-oh.
We ain't trying to be controversial.
Uh-oh.
But just your role,
No, I'm saying though. My role in the song Rapper's Delight, I am considered hip hop's first ghost writer because I wrote the lyrics that Big Bang Hank sings in Rapper's Delight. But in all honesty, I'm not really the first ghost writer because I didn't write those for him. I wrote those for me. Those was my rhymes. Okay? And if I was a ghost writer, I would have wrote for Hank. I'm the B-I-G-B, the A-N-K-N, the rest A-N, you know what I mean? But he just ripped off my lyrics word for word. So that's why when you listen to Hank say, check it out, I'm the C-A-S-N, the O-V-A, and the rest is F-L-Y. Casanova Fly. That's me. So, I mean, that was my role as far as Rapper's Delight is concerned. There's been a lot of conjecture and stories going on around. Oh yeah, Hank used to manage the Cold Crush Brothers and this and this. And no. This before the Cold Crush Brothers came along, all right? Before I was down with the Cold Crush Brothers, Hank was managing me, like the last group that I had before I joined the Cold Crush Brothers. Hank managed, and took out a loan from his parents to help fortify our sound system, where we used to take equipment to parties all the time. And in order to pay back the loan, he got a job in a pizza shop in New Jersey. And that's where Sylvia and them came up through, you know, saw him like lip syncing to a boombox in the pizza shop and was like, hey, the fat guy can rap. So they invited him to come out and rap and audition. And he auditioned with my rhymes. You know what I mean? So they was like, yo, that shit is fire. and they put him on. And you know, the rest is history. So that's my involvement with Rapper's Delight. I didn't go to the studio with him. We didn't sit down and like, yo, yeah, let's collab on it. No, he just stole my shit and went and did it with Sugar Hill.
Joe, I wanted to ask you, how has that, is there any distinction between that, you know, being Puerto Rican in your involvement? Has, you know, it's like a woman, for example, my experience is different than a man. How has yours been? Any difference?
So, I am Puerto Rican. Really? I am Puerto Rican, Cuban, Italian, raised by a Dominican. So I'm all this stuff. All this stuff. No, because, you know, growing up in the Bronx, it wasn't about skin tone or weight. I mean, it was territorial. Yeah. I didn't go to Bronx River Projects unless I was with the Cold Crush Brothers. You know,
I didn't go to Bronx River unless I was with the Cold Crush Brothers.
You know, I just found out today, Caz wouldn't go to South Bronx High School because of the Casanova crew, you know. So it was territorial, but it wasn't about skin color or anything like that. And it just, you know, I was embraced by the Cold Crush. And through the Cold Crush, I was embraced by the Treacherous Three. I was embraced by the Fearless Four. All these pioneering, groundbreaking groups, you know, and it never, I mean, we snapped. Snapping was part of the hanging out, you know. We snapped on each other, but it wasn't about, you know, Caz and the Cold Crush used to come to my mom's house and eat, you know, so, and vice versa. I used to go to Creston Avenue, you know. It just, that's how we were raised. And if anybody says anything different than that, they weren't from the Bronx or lived in that time or that era. Very end of story.
So, and which will make that make sense. There's a lot of people, there were a lot of groups during our era of hip hop. And if you notice, they're the so-and-so 5 or the so-and-so 4 or the so-and-so this. We were the Cold Crush Brothers. All right, we were a group from our photographer to the guy who used to take record our cassettes,
Statements.
to the security, the guys who used to security, the people carry crates, everybody's Gold Rush brothers. Okay, so I think because of that, you know what I mean, we were more of a in-house unit. We all had everything we needed inside of ourselves.
Would I be remiss to say if we were the blueprint, or you guys were the blueprint for a Wu-Tang Clan?
Oh, I could say that,
You
pretty
know?
much, pretty much. I mean, the only other time you heard brothers in the name was the Brothers Disco. Okay, and that's my sister Sha Rock crew. All right, Brothers Disco.
Where, drugs were, a Friday night thing or a Saturday night thing, a social thing, okay? And when I experienced death for the first time in my life, when the matriarch of our family, my grandmother, passed away, I turned to drugs for comfort to hide that pain. And then it became, every time I had an argument with my girlfriend, this, that, and the other, I would turn to drugs. And next thing you know, I'm a full-blown addict. Okay? Homeless, living out in the street. Got arrested for the first time in my life, spent 18 months in the drug rehab, and haven't looked back. I've been clean and sober for 32 years.
Yeah.
So, substance abuse is real, but there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is, okay? And I'm not ashamed to say it. And, Caz has his story, and, I'll let him say it. But, we're both survivors, so to speak, and we're here.
Well, Caz,
No, he wanted to say that.
What you want me to expound?
Yeah, he wanted to say that.
Yeah, I wouldn't crack it. No, during the early to mid 80s, a big helicopter flew over New York City and just sprinkled crack all over the place.
Yeah.
Now some people scooped up a bunch of it and sold it. And some of us scooped up a bunch of it and smoked it. Either way, it led to two epidemics, okay? A drug dealing epidemic and a drug taking epidemic. It both fucked up our neighborhoods, our communities, took 10 years out of my life, okay? And a lot of other people, but I'm not here to talk about other people's, testimony. I'm here to talk about mine. And my brother, I've been clean and sober, my drug of choice for over 30 years right now, okay? And I'm gonna tell you something. Right now, I smoke like a broke stove every day, okay? But legal, recreational, God's green marijuana, okay? I ain't smoked nothing right in over 30 years, and it's a blessing. Myself, Joe, and like I said, I'm not trying to blow up other people's stories, but many of us in hip hop, first generation, succumb to the trappings of drugs and stuff. And a lot of it was, like he said, escape.
Yeah.
When drugs came out in the mid-'80s, it kind of signaled the end of the first generation of hip-hop.
Yeah.
So not only were we going through that, we're going through the fact that we're not valid anymore. People looking at Run DMC and Houdini and LL Cool J and the next generation of cats, and we're becoming obsolete. If you don't have a record or a popular record or a hit record, you can't work. Nigga, they ain't checking for you no more. I think we were the last group without a hit record that was still able to perform and to maintain a level up until about 84, 85. After that, nobody from our era, unless you, like I said, had hit records, survived that era. It was like the end of the era of the first generation.
But you went to California. Talk about how you went to California and bridged that gap.
Yeah, but later on, like you went to Germany. This is my sister Sha Rock that I'm talking to right now. Sha went to Germany, you know what I mean? And the military, she lived military life. She came back, she did something else. She was in corrections and all that. So she was away from the culture. I was away from the culture, like sticking my head in and out.
Right.
You know what I mean? When I went to LA, And I gotta thank Africa Bambaataa, because Africa Bambaataa saw me out in the street. You know what I mean? I was coming from the shelter that I was staying in, and I saw Bam on 125th Street. He's like, yo, what's up, great one? You always call me great one. He was like, you need to go out to California with Islam. African Islam, son of Bambaataa, was Ice-T's producer. Yeah. He was out there with Ice-T, and he created Zulu Nation West Coast. So they flew me out to Cali and pretty much saved my life. Yeah. In 89, from 89 to 92, I lived in California. I was playing at the hottest clubs in California. Soul Train chicks calling me up, get on the guest list, right? Like a month ago, I was in the crack house. Right. Okay? So this definitely was a salvation for me and kind of brought me back into me. All right? Thank you, sis. Put tape over his records and cover the record so you can't see what record he's playing. And then you're like, well that's selfish. Why would you? He's like, well, why would you want to come to my party if you can hear this record at anybody's party? People come for the music. Okay, so if everybody knows what records I got, then they just as good, you know what I mean, as me. Right. That's competition.
Right, on hip hop, it wasn't that important. It's not saying it's hip hop. And it kind of like downgraded a lot of the contributions.
You said that?
I'd rather not.
Is this the guy who I did his interview?
We both did it.
I will whoop his
ass.
Well, good. You need to look his
That's a bigger conversation.
Yeah, that is another. But group, I wrote rhymes, and I would wait when the group come. Yo, check this out. This is what I got. Or when we would rehearse together, somebody might have an idea or say a line or something. I'm like, hold on, what you said? I. And then I'll go and I'll just write a whole thing, and then I'll come back. Yo, check this shit out. You do this, you do that. So I was like the main writer for the group. And most of the writing that I did alone. I did by myself. And when I would write for the group, I would write like I was them, like I was one of them. So if I was JDL and I could write like me, this is what I'd say. If I was KG and I could write like Caz, this is what I'd say.
So that was ghostwriting. All that shit.
Yeah. It's personal. And it depends on what legacy you're trying to leave. All right? As far as hip hop is concerned, I think me being personally leaving a legacy is important. It's because of the influence that I've had over so many important people in hip hop. That in itself is legacy. Okay, when people follow what you do, try to improve upon what you do, like reference you in what they do, I mean, that's legacy. And I think it's the true testament of what you've done and how effective you've been on this planet when other people are influenced by what you do and take it to next levels.
I'm going to bring it down around and say the same thing. You know, I have an 8-year-old granddaughter who swears because of my 25,000 followers on Instagram, I can walk on water. But like, just the fact that she knows that her grandfather, you know, she's met LL Cool J, she's met so many different people. There's Uncle Caz, you know, and you know, when she sees them on TV, she's like, look, Papa, you know, that's my friend. You know, legacy is a lot, you know, and when people read those history books and see our names, and even your names also, that to me is priceless. That to me is priceless.
On that note, we have to wrap up. I'm sorry, Jen.
My style ain't free. I write and get paid for it. My title's Grandmaster. I rhyme and DJ for it. Cats try to battle me, lost and got slayed for it. Ain't no downfall in sight, though people prayed for it. I've been in trenches, I've been duck monkey wrenches, but I'ma keep pulling wenches way after I got dentures. I'm like Great Adventures. All jokes aside, I keep you screaming, just like that Batman ride. I got flows like spring water, Deer Park to Avion. I'm a G and a lover, put them together, call me Savion. I'm gravy on tracks, beats, and acapellas, and and I ain't gotta be Jay-Z or Rockefeller.